to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the man who pioneered phytoplankton, Earth's origin source of nutrition for health, no other than Mr. David Hunter.
Hi there. It's nice to be here.
Welcome on Book 101 Review, Mr. David. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
All right. Well, David Hunter. I'm 52 years old. I currently live in a town called Moncton, New Brunswick, which is in the east coast of Canada. I'm near the state of Maine. And I'm originally from Vancouver. Grew up being an auto mechanic. And I actually, since it's a book review, I read a book in my 20s that changed my life. And it's called The Psychology of Selling by an author actually from this area of Canada called Brian Tracy, and opened my eyes to, just empowerment, the law of cause and effect, you reap what you sow kind of thing, and on how to, do a little bit better than the average person. And then I started self-employment and started a bottled water company with a high school buddy. And we ended up taking that from an idea to nationally distributed in 5 years, based on those principles in this book that I read. And I ended up getting into phytoplankton accidentally. I got on my last day actually of selling bottled water, I got a call to help with some marketing and sales in phytoplankton, and that was in 2005. I had my 20-year anniversary of that date on July 5th of this year. And I had a life-changing event at a sea farm that has transformed my whole life. And it's been, you never would have thought in a million years I would be in the phytoplankton ecosystem, for sure.
Mr. David Hunter, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about the ocean's smallest organism with the biggest impact on human health. So tell us. Let's start with the invisible for our audience or viewers who might picture whales and coral. Can you paint a picture of the microscopic world? What are the or what are we talking about when we say the ocean's smallest organisms?
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because when I started the job, I didn't even know what phytoplankton was either. I made a joke that I have to learn how to spell it before I could start working on it. And but yeah, hey, here's this thing. It's like, again, totally unbeknownst to me at the time, and probably to a lot of the listeners, it's the most abundant plant life on Earth. And so what is happening, if I want to try and visualize it, the sun, like, obviously the ocean covers the majority of the Earth's surface. And when the sun the rays of the sun penetrate the surface of the ocean, these plants, if you literally think of the ocean depth and then the ray of the sun coming down, in that where the ray of the sun is in the ocean, these microscopic plants literally are popping to life. It's immaculate conception. If this happened in a bigger form, we'd all be freaking out because life would be popping up, right? But they're microscopic. They're about 1.2 microns, which is about the third the size of a blood cell. And they're just birthing life in the trillions consistently. And inside these plants, they all have some different shapes, but the main ones kind of look like green globes. And inside that green globe is the original source of omegas, protein, the B vitamins, selenium, magnesium, calcium, riboflavin, manganese, antioxidants, carotenoids, anything that you've ever heard in nutrition. And then it's literally in its pure form, it's pure nutrition. Now, a lot of people have said that the krill, a lot of people know about krill and krill oils and stuff. Well, the krill, they get all those omegas that from the phytoplankton. So you have this countless sea of nutrition, which is the first form of life. It's the first form of food and the first form of nutrition. And this microscopic garden that a lot of people don't know about it. And then they smell like the ocean, actually. So when you're on the beach and you're at the ocean and going and you have that smell of the ocean, what you're smelling is actually phytoplankton, and that fresh air that comes in and all that stuff. Well, that is all from the phytoplankton. A lot of people don't know that. And actually, finally, fish doesn't taste like fish. Fish tastes like phytoplankton because in plant form, that's phytoplankton is kind of how it tastes. So yeah, it's an interesting organism. It's responsible for a lot of things, including whales that are 100 years old and the size of a school bus.
Mr. David, if you had to crown one specific type of microorganism, be it phytoplankton, a specific marine bacterium or a virus as the current MVP of human health, which would be and why?
Ooh. Well, can you just give me a little bit more context before I answer that? Like, so what it's exactly are you
Why are you saying that the phytoplankton is a virus or it's a marine bacterium?
mhm. Yeah, well, for me, I just look at it as a plant, and it is. I would say I would probably almost. I wouldn't necessarily call it a fruit. It'd probably be almost in the vegetable category. So, and I definitely wouldn't be in the virus category. It's basically what it is how I see it, is where it's different. So, in life, there's only usually one first or one foundation, you know, and whether you believe in God or if this was a big bang or whatever, it doesn't matter. One thing that's a fact is marine phytoplankton is the first, and it's the first food, which makes it an immovable pole position. And I think it's a little bit different than everything else because it's responsible for life, and it's not just like a food that you eat and then it's like nutrition for X amount of time, like because it is the beginning of life and it feeds the nutritional composition of the phytoplankton nourish the entire oceanic ecosystem. It's responsible for that, and actually is also responsible for a lot of the life given to birds, because if it wasn't for the krill eating the phytoplankton and some of the fish eating the krill, well, the birds would have nothing to eat as well. So I kind of look at phytoplankton as a little bit of an enigma unto its own, because it's a life-giving force, unlike anything else that I've ever discovered. And we do have, of course, have like other microorganisms in the ocean, but phytoplankton is one to its own. So I hope I explained that well, but I think it's something unto itself.
Indeed. We often hear about the Amazon rainforest being the lungs of the planet, but we
Mhm.
hear the little belongs to the ocean. Can you settle that debate? How much of the oxygen we breathe actually comes from these tiny oceanic organisms?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Amazon rainforest is not producing oxygen. There's, that's obvious, right?
Okay.
And that's important. I mean, and plus the ecosystem, it's a land-based ecosystem, but the Amazon rainforest is only so big geographically. And if you looked at the square footage or the acreage or however big units that I don't know of the ocean kind of covers a little bit more of the planet than the Amazon rainforest. Um, so NASA says that phytoplankton can contribute up to 70% of the oxygen that we breathe. And like I said, it's always continuously being born, moving around, swimming in the ocean, breathing. So, I just not say that the Amazon is not producing the oxygen, but I think there's a lot more land mass, or I would say water mass, of the ocean than there is of the Amazon. So I think that the ruling is that the phytoplankton is actually the lungs of the planet.
Okay, I will not debate for that, Mr. David. And what is the most direct and surprising way these marine microbes impact our physical health every single day?
Okay, well, so giving the context that the phytoplankton is literally nutrition in its purest form. Okay, created by nature. I didn't formulate this plant. I was just a guy that was at the right place at the right time. When it was discovered. Um, what we think is going on, and why this is so impactful to the people that take it, is that we are, as human beings, we're an accumulation of cells. We pretty much start as one cell. When the sperm and the egg meet, then becomes a cell, and then it's continuously dividing until we become what we become. And as we're young and we're getting older, our cells are changing, and that division of cells is carrying our energy, kind of a little bit of a blueprint. And so there, inside each cell, there's a little engine called the mitochondria, and that is pretty much, I said, the blueprint, right? So like that's producing the energy, healthy new cells. It's it has a signaling, kind of like I would call like a walkie-talkie to other cells. And so what we're thinking, and the reason why people have such a profound experience and such profound healing when they take marine phytoplankton, is because of its microscopic size. We believe that it's bypassing digestion, and this little green plant that's the third the size of a blood cell is going straight into the mitochondria, giving that mitochondria a complete bouquet of comprehensive pure nutrition that they would normally never get through ingesting food. And if you're eating even really good salads and vegetables and all that stuff, well, there's still potential that you're going to have some gaps. And so, and also too, how much of it do you lose through the process of digestion? So we think the profound activity that people are experiencing with the phytoplankton is due to the fact it's potentially the perfect food for the mitochondria, because it seems like it's like a homecoming a little bit. The body seems to know what it is, and it knows what to do with it. Because I can only even from my own personal experience, when I took phytoplankton the first time, it was like I had an awakening. I literally felt it immediately. It changed my life when I ate it. And on the hundreds of thousands of people that we've given it to or tell us the same thing. So you can, you only have to hear, when they do a clinical trial, they usually do it with about 300 people. We've done it with hundreds of thousands. So I think we've got a pretty good track record. I think the jury is out that we're, there's definitely something going on.
Mr. David, the ocean is the medicine cabinet. Many of our antibiotics and cancer fighting drugs came from marine microbes. Can you tell us about one of the most promising medical discoveries happening right now from these organisms?
Well, the pretty interesting, probably the most impactful anecdotes that we get is with autoimmune diseases such as like fibromyalgia, Crohn's colitis. And I think, and I'll give you two things, and I'll start with this one. So what we're thinking, kind of going back to the mitochondria. So when a person has an autoimmune disease, what is really happening is that the immune system is not working properly. It's kind of working against itself. It's completely confused. And so there's something that's missing inside, the immune system is missing something. And I would always explain, like, if you're trying to take a tire off of a car and you don't have the proper tools, even if you are a NASCAR mechanic, and you only have vice grips, you're going to have a lot of trouble taking that tire off the car. Well, I think that if we're, not giving the body all the tools, like, the foundational essential building blocks of life, which is nutrition, the immune system is not going to function properly. And then over time, you get an autoimmune disease, which unfortunately is a lot of pain involved. And so when the phytoplankton enters the body and the mitochondria and the cells have the nutrition that it's missing, and then it receives it, well, then all of a sudden that walkie-talkie starts to work, and they call it like a cell signaling. And then now all of a sudden the immune system fires up and it's working. And then people have this profound experience where they've had this autoimmune disease for like decades, and all of a sudden, they can't believe it. Like, it's like within a month they're like back to normal, and they're like, how's that? That's a miracle. It's so possible. But when you think of just logically in the law of cause and effect, if you have that disease because you're malnourished and then you receive the nutrition that you were missing, well, the body is designed to heal itself. Case in point, if you cut yourself, the body automatically goes to work to start healing. Now, the second thing, so the origin of phytoplankton, which definitely motivated me to spend 20 years of my life doing this, was witnessing cancer recoveries from people. And my mom had passed away from cancer when I was 20 years old. So this is a little bit of a pain point, for me. And then to watch people suffer, I can empathize with the pain that they go through, whether they have it or they lose somebody with it. And so I witnessed hundreds of recoveries from this disease that takes lives. And so in 2012, with my own money that I had, I invested in putting phytoplankton into cancer cell lines, breast cancer and colon cancer cell lines, with a doctor who was working for the Atlantic Cancer Institute for 25 years. And we put this phytoplankton in the cancer cell lines, and we had 100% cell death within 72 hours. And she had told me that in 25 years of her doing cancer cell lines, she had never put an organic compound into a cancer cell line and have 100% cell death. So what's going on there? Well, and so we have to kind of speculate. We're speculating that it might be a peptide that maybe is not present as it goes down the food chain. But as I was trying to commercialize this, I found politically, I was finding myself into a little bit of a brick wall, because, this is $1 billion or multi-billion dollar thing that I was trying to unplug for the sake of humanity. But little Dave Hunter in East Coast of Canada does not have the financial resources to go after that type of market. So what I just decided to do was just to get it licensed as a multivitamin and just let the product do the talking. And you know what? And if people like, hearing the podcast, and one person, you say one person at a time.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? And it's just like, that's the way that it has to be, and so we just sell it as something that makes you feel really good and it reignites your body. And, obviously I'm on a platform that, me testing this with cancer cell lines. I mean, that's a true event. It happened, I'll talk about it and, my experience with it, why I got involved with it. And, we just let if people are curious about it and that makes sense to them and they want to give it a try, well, we'll just let the product do the talking. So that's been our mantra from the beginning.
Yes, word of mouth, people. And I want to try that new invention, a breakthrough, Mr. David. And before we continue our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season. Abstract Poetry in second season. And my Book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season. And my Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season. And my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season. And Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season. And Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Mr. David, finally, if you could make the world understand one thing about the connection between the health of the ocean's smallest creatures and the healthy of or health of humanity, what would it be?
Well, I think the big thing that I learned through my journey, because when I started the phytoplankton, I wasn't healthy. And it really is the quality of nutrition that you put into your body directly correlates to the quality of life that you experience. I think it's really that simple. I went from being 60 pounds overweight, high blood pressure, candida rashes, headaches, allergies, chronic fatigue at 32 years old. I just like I grew up in this world. My mom was a nurse and I just thought, if you got sick, this was just a curse or a lot in life and you just had to battle it. Um, but when I took the phytoplankton and now I'm 52 years old. I'm on zero medications. My blood pressure is perfect. I can run, I can golf, I can throw a baseball 60 miles an hour still. Like, I have no physical limitations. I feel fantastic. Barely get sick. I know what it's like to be sick and have pain because I've lived it, but a person I think through phytoplankton just being the foundation of the nutrition instead of like rolling the dice on a $15 supplement, you can take phytoplankton and put a foundation under yourself. I think that, I think that that's just, I think the suffering is unnecessary. I really do, but you have to prevent it. It's like obviously sometimes something might creep up and you got to fix it. I'm not saying that everything in pharma is bad. I definitely am not saying that at all. There's a lot of amazing things that stuff can do, but I'm saying is like, I think the trick is just not to get the disease, and that is with like taking care of your nutritional inputs, because I think the body is amazing and it can do a lot of great things if you give it the tools to do it.
Yes, Mr. David Hunter, thank you so much for sharing your breakthrough to the world. Hoping for more and more breakthrough to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your product itself?
Well, thank you, Daniel. Yeah. So if you want to learn more, you go to usagpa.com. That's our pretty easy handle. So USAGPA for the Global Phytoplankton Alliance.com, USAGPA.com. So there, and at the bottom of the website, there's a 25% off on the first order. And we also have a 30-day empty bottle money back guarantee, which we are pretty confident that you're not going to use. so, yeah, and it's just a green powder like you see there, and you just mix it with water first thing in the morning, and you're good to go. Yeah, so I just think if people are resonating with, I like, just give it a try. This has the potential to change your life.
Yes, I want to try that, Mr. David. Is it available only in your website or available where can
Nope.
everywhere?
Currently, right now, it's just available online. We do have a product on Amazon as well. But the not that one there. It's a smaller serving size. But we are an online retailer.
Okay, people, let's support Mr. David Hunter about this breakthrough. Who knows? He will create more breakthrough, more than this. So, Mr. David Hunter, Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Motica people, see you soon.